What if we told you your whole season comes down to the next few transfers? Double Gameweek 36 is confirmed, and the managers who act now will be the ones climbing. Get it wrong this week, and there's only 3 weeks left to recover. Hi everyone, welcome back to FPL Fix. This is your Gameweek 35 preview. I'm James, as always I'm joined by Patrick.
Hi everyone, 4 game weeks left. The last double this season is confirmed. Man City and Crystal Palace playing twice in Game Week 36. Deadline's today at 6:30 PM, so make sure your team's locked in. Now let's get straight into it.
Okay, here's the landscape for Double Game Week 36. The Man City vs Crystal Palace fixture, postponed back in Game Week 31, has been rescheduled for the 13th of May. That falls in the midweek of Game Week 36, so Man City play twice. Brentford on the weekend, then Palace in midweek, and both games are at home. In the reverse fixtures, City won both games without conceding, 3-0 against Crystal Palace and 2-0 against Brentford, so there's a good chance for some of their defensive assets to do well as well.
Palace play twice, home to Everton on a weekend, then a trip to the Etihad midweek. The Everton home game is where you're targeting a clean sheet and attacking returns. The City trip midweek is a much harder fixture, but could be worth a couple extra points.
Yeah, Man City tried to move the games around, but the Premier League rejected it, so now the fixtures are locked and there's nothing left to wait for. And one more thing, if you haven't played your triple captainship yet, then Double Game Week 36 is the obvious window.
Yeah, it's got to be Haaland. 2 home games with a title on the line. That chip was made for this moment. And those of us who used it on Gabriel earlier this season will absolutely be watching with envy.
Right, let's talk about players and who you actually need for now and building up to Game Week 36. We're focusing on 3 teams here, Man City and Palace for their double, and Arsenal for their defensive form. Starting with Man City, and no surprise to see Haaland as the number 1 priority. Most managers already own him, but if you don't, he's the first transfer you make. His Double Game Week 36 ceiling is the highest out of any player in the game.
Cherki is next, 28 points in his last 4 starts with a goal and 3 assists. He's 11% owned, he doubles in Game Week 36, and if you're already on Semenyo, the switch is seriously worth considering. The form difference right now is massive, and you even save a bit of money.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Cherki, but I'm stuck with Semenyo now and don't have the transfers to move him on. I think you're overlooking O'Reilly though. He's listed as a defender, playing in midfield, so he picks up clean sheet points, but he's also got an eye for goal and is a real aerial threat. He's nailed, explosive, and he's doubling in Game Week 36. On to Arsenal now, and their defence has been ridiculous. They're not conceding many chances, and the upcoming fixtures look great. A double or even triple up on the Arsenal defence is really worth considering.
Gabriel takes top spot, goal threats, defcon stats, and obvious clean sheet potential. Raya is second and Saliba's third. They might sound like boring picks, but their minutes are guaranteed, which is more than you can say for most of Arsenal's other defenders, and nearly all the attackers at the moment.
Yeah, Rice is technically an option as well, but he's been sitting a lot deeper lately and not even hitting the defcon threshold to go with that. I've gone back to the Arsenal defence this week with my transfers. With Arsenal at home to Fulham, if they do keep a clean sheet, you're looking at 12 plus combined points from 2 defenders in one game. If you've only got 1, then the clean sheet will actually hurt your rank this week. The risk is that Fulham score a goal, but with them failing to score in their last 3 away games, the upside makes it worth the gamble.
I've gone Gabriel but stopped at 1 Arsenal defender rather than doubling up. The clean sheet potential is real, but more than 1 doesn't feel essential this week. Gabriel is the clear priority if you're only getting 1 though.
Crystal Palace next, and they have a lot of fixtures right now, but with the double coming up, there's still some players worth targeting. Munoz is the number 1 pick. His heat map is basically a vertical line in the opposition half, but he's still got the fitness to play nearly every minute of every game. He's consistent, he gets forward, and even scored in the last fixture in the Premier League, even if it was a bit controversial.
Lacroix just edges Canvo for the next best defensive option. He adds a bit of a goal threat, he's slightly more reliable for minutes, and has massive defcon potential. And then it's Sarr. He's a bit more risky because we've seen him benched in the Premier League recently, but even if he just starts 1 and gets minutes off the bench in the other, he's still a great pick.
Okay, time to move on to captaincy now, and with it being a single game week this week, it's fairly straightforward. Haaland leads the projections with City away to Everton, who have been conceding a lot of headers lately. With the title still to play for, Pep will be picking his strongest 11. Haaland's the safe pick, and he's got the highest ceiling at the same time, and that combination doesn't come around too often.
Yeah, Bruno is the main alternative if you want to go against the template. Man United host Brentford on Monday night at Old Trafford. His home record this season has been extraordinary, and Brentford haven't defended well away from home. He's closing in on the assist record, so the chances of assists are higher than goals right now, but his ceiling in home games is unreal. He's my vice captain right now, but not impossible that gets the armband before the deadline.
Okay, time for a quick look back at Game Week 34, our free hit week, before we get into our team reveals. I scored 64 points and got a green arrow pushing me inside the top 35,000 in the world. All 5 at the back got returns of some description. Gibbs White was my standout with 13 points from a goal and assist at relatively low ownership. Bruno did fine as my captain, but the painful bit was that I made a late change from Casemiro to Solanke, and that cost me 11 points alone. Anderson was next on my bench with 9 points, but he was never realistically getting in my team. 29 points in total sitting on the bench was really painful though. How did you get on?
59 points for me and a green arrow, up to nearly the top 500k. Bowman was amazing, 10 points from 2 assists, which was a massive boost. My back line really carried me though, 30 points from my back 4 was massive. Salah with 1 point was the one that hurt. He was a differential captain option from our last video, and then he went and got injured. You can't predict things like that, to be honest. But the 3-week plan, wildcard and bench boost and free hit, has played out about as well as we could have hoped for. Now, it's time for the final push.
Okay, now it's time for the team reveals. We've got our original squads back now after the free hit, and I'm using all 3 transfers this week. In goal, it's Darlow and Strauch for Leeds at home to Burnley, which is a great fixture for clean sheet potential. I'm transferring Gabriel and Saliba back in for the Arsenal double up at home to Fulham and hoping for a clean sheet there. And O'Reilly takes my last defender spot. In midfield, I've got Semenyo away to Everton, and I'm just about keeping the faith in him, even with his run of blanks lately. Tavernier at home to Crystal Palace, who's most likely going to take the next Bournemouth penalty, and Bruno away to Liverpool, who's chasing the assist record. Up front is João Pedro at home to Nottingham Forest, Haaland with the armband away to Everton, and Calvert-Lewin at home to Burnley, which also looks great with him being the penalty taker with a great fixture and Leeds having plenty still to play for. On the bench is Verbruggen, Enzo, Sarr and Van Heck, with Sarr coming in for Palmer to facilitate the Arsenal defenders and to prep for Double Gameweek 36. 3 free transfers used, but my squad is much closer to where I want it to be ahead of the double. How's your team set up?
I made 2 transfers this week. Palmer out for Sarr, who goes straight on the bench ready for Game Week 36, and Cucurella out for Gabriel. I've decided to just go with 1 Arsenal defender this week. In goal, Darlow and Strauch for a double up against Burnley, same as you, Hill at home to Crystal Palace, and Gabriel for the Arsenal cover at home to Fulham. In midfield, Bruno as vice captain away to Liverpool, Semenyo and Cherki away to Everton, hoping one of them will produce this week if not both, and Tavernier at home to Palace. Up front, Welbeck away to Newcastle, Haaland as captain away to Everton, and João Pedro at home to Forest. On the bench, I've got Verbruggen, Van Hecker, Sarr and Senesi. 2 transfers used, ruling the other 2, so I'm pretty confident going into this one as well.
And that's all for this one. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you found it useful, it really helps us out.
Yeah, and you can follow us on X at Weekend Fix for last minute tips and updates before the deadline.
Thanks for watching, good luck this week, and we'll see you next time.